Good afternoon. It is 1 o'clock. I'm Joseph Bonanno, live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Downs Studios. Today, the NFL announced the offseason workout dates for all 32 teams. The Titans will begin offseason work on Tuesday, April 7th, with voluntary minicamp being April 21st through the 23rd. The team has 10 OTAs scheduled for late May, early June, and mandatory minicamp will be June 16th and 17th. In college basketball news today, the North Carolina head coach job is still open after Arizona's Tommy Lloyd announced on Friday that he has turned down the position despite being offered a top 2 contract in the sport from the Tar Heels. In response, Arizona is giving Lloyd an extension to make him a top 5 highest paid coach in the sport. He took less money to stay, but will bump up to $7.2 million starting next season and will average $7.5, including staff pool will also get a huge bump. Incentives brought back to their contract structures, and he'll no longer have to report to the AD. Final Four gets underway on Saturday in college basketball. 3-seed Illinois versus 2-seed UConn tips at 5:10, and the battle of the 1 seeds, Michigan versus Arizona, at 7:50. For our foundation repair, waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports in Kentucky Downs. You can also join 104.5 The Zone for our 2026 Golf Classic on Monday, June 15th at Nashville Golf and Athletic Club. Located in the heart of Cool Springs, the historic golf course features breathtaking panoramic views of the beautiful Middle Tennessee countryside. The 2026 Golf Classic will be highlighted with great food, cocktails, prizes, and special guests. Purchase your team today and choose between 2 flights, 8 a.m. or 1 p.m., and spend the day teeing off with us. For more information or to purchase a team, visit 1045thezone.com. Got producer Joseph back there. Ross. Joseph is going on vacation, so Ross is going to come in a little bit later and cover 3HL for him. So, Joseph, glad to have you on the show.
Shout out Ross for letting me do this.
There you go.
Got to catch a flight at 4 o'clock, so.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Blaine, I wanted to start off just real quick. Betting odds have shifted for the number 4 overall pick for the Tennessee Titans. Last week we talked about Jeremiah Love was the overwhelming favorite, and it just popped up on Twitter. And so I went over to DraftKings that they've updated it, and just the lines have shifted just a little bit. Not that this is the end-all, be-all, but it is interesting to see what Vegas is getting a feeling of who's improving, who's declining. Like Jeremiah Love, his odds got worse. He's still number 1, but he went from minus 135 to plus 145. So a major shift there.
Oh, I'm going to ask you because I have no idea.
Yeah.
Did it shift to a pass rusher?
Well, it shifted to 3 different players, to be honest with you. Because Carnell Tate, who was plus 950 last week, ended up at plus 1,200. So his odds got worse too. But David Bailey went from plus 450 to plus 290. Sonny Styles went from plus 700 to plus 650. Ruben Bain went from plus 800 to plus 425.
Oh,
so
he had the biggest change though.
Yeah,
right?
So he was 4th last week, and now he's 3rd by a pretty wide margin between him and Sonny Styles, who's 4th. 3rd highest odds. So fourth highest odds last week, 3rd highest odds this week, but a huge shift. We're talking about 375, in odds shifted in favor of Ruben Bain. So big shift there. Wonder if all the comments about Ruben Bain being able to play wide 9. I don't know how close Vegas actually follows what Mike Bergonzi may or may not say at the
owners meeting.
But that's a pretty huge shift for both David Bailey and Ruben Bain, but the biggest one went to Ruben Bain.
Well, I mean, you would know better than me how Vegas operates, but Yeah, that's still a little bit of surprise there.
Money must be coming in on those. Because I said last week, plus 800, I was like, I would put some money down on Ruben Bain for plus 800. I mean, that's a good, chunk of change to put down, maybe $10 to get back, what is it? Octuple your money, I guess you could say, get back 8 times your money.
But not only is he a good big time gambler, no,
Me?
not me.
Only when I go to Vegas.
Oh,
And only at a blackjack table.
how many times you been to Vegas?
3 times.
Oh.
I am in the negative, if you must know.
Well, so he's a big gambler, just not a good one.
Ding, ding, ding.
No. No.
I don't know. I mean, I was just a little
But
surprised
in the
that the
top
odds
10,
have
though,
shifted that big.
Vegas is pretty consistent
Yeah.
in being right.
That's what Jordan Dajani told us last week.
Yeah.
He said top 10, and we'll be joined by him later. But I think it must be about money more than it is about realistic expectations. But I do find that very interesting because I did want to, on a weekly basis, keep up with this to see how odds shift as we get closer and closer and closer to the draft.
I don't know. We shall see.
We shall
it's going
see.
to be fun. Man, and Tate, I think Tate's more in the picture, too. I'm
with you.
That's, wow.
I think there's a little bit more to the Tate stuff than we may want to give it credit for. So I do want to talk about, pick up a little bit from our conversations. We're talking about Ruben Bain, a little bit from our conversation yesterday because we got all kinds of great phone calls, 615-737-1045. Love to hear from you guys about those odds, and we'll have other stuff you guys can jump in on. But yesterday when we were talking about Ruben Bain, we were talking about that lull in his production if you're just looking at the stats. And then we got the text message from Stoney, which said that in the Stanford game, the game plan seemed to get the ball out instantly and therefore nullify the pass rush. Louisville, the tackles were very aggressive out of their stance, seemed to be concerted effort to get to Bain before Bain could get to them. It neutralized him and stopped his feet quite a bit. So how do you hold game plans like that against Bain? And we didn't get to it on air, but we kind of talked about it a little bit. It's like, if I was every coach that was going up against Bain, I'd be doing the Louisville aggressive attack or doing the Stanford. And it seemed like a lot of teams didn't want to, I guess I simplify it too much. I don't understand why more teams for any player that you're going up against the caliber that Ruben Bain is, look at the teams that kind of neutralized him and do that game plan.
Well, I mean, that's where the human element comes into play. Maybe you don't have that personnel.
Yeah.
So you can't execute it the way they did because our guys aren't good enough or our guys they think are better and they can do the system that they run. So, you just never know. That's why I said initially before he texts you that you don't know about scheme and system. That's why you never just rely on stats. Stats can give you halfway there. Then let's dig deeper. Then it'll tell you if those stats hold true. To that. So, but at the end of the day, Bain is a really, really good player. It's just a matter of what's your taste for a pass rusher. Even with the shorter arms, I mean, man, he even stepped it up in the playoffs. So that's going to be really the question. Him versus whoever else, whether it's Love or Bailey or Reese. What's your, at 4, he better be an outlier if you get him.
Well, and this is also why you watch more than one game, right, too, when you're doing your scouting.
I hate that he didn't play a first-round offensive tackle or a second-round guy. That would help me out a lot.
Maybe he did a second-round guy that's going to be a second-rounder next year. Or I didn't see one last year, but maybe he's going to do one, and I need to go back and just double-check that. But maybe he's playing one that will eventually be a second-rounder next year, but does that really give you the whole picture that you're kind of looking for? Because you're kind of looking for that element of best on best, right?
Well,
not that he necessarily needs it, but
you're missing a point on that. No, I'm going against NFL linemen who have long arms and length, and that's why I brought up the A&M guy, even though he's young, because I saw him play, and I was like, man, he's still getting after this guy, and this guy has long arms. Now, that guy's young, but, in a couple years, he's going to probably be, at least third-round guy. At A&M, and that guy had length, his arms.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to give him a lot of trouble, but at times it did.
I mean, he had 5 inches on him almost on each arm.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I was watching that game in particular just for that, and I thought Bain actually, he did pretty good.
And that guy, to kind of just go into this, he converted from tight end to tackle in 2022.
So he has some good feet,
So great feet, good athleticism.
Still probably a little raw.
Yeah, still a little raw. And that's why he's going in like the 4th or the 5th round. That's why he's not a first-round guy. Not to say he doesn't have the talent, because I do think that he did show up well in the Senior Bowl, but he also kind of had problems at the Senior Bowl with and Zion Young is not the same as Reuben Bain level, but a power rusher that will get up into your chest. And he kind of had a little bit of issues with that. So
and you would think a tight end to tackle, that kind of comes into play with guys with power, because you're not used to dealing with that kind of power all the time. Maybe when you're doubling down, blocking, but that's not the same. You got help, right? So, a guy run at you full blast, just said, I'm going to run through your chest.
And I think when we went through this yesterday, I think Demetrius Crownover was probably the most talented, I guess, the highest rated prospect that he went up against at the tackle position. Because then I can remember as Austin Barber and Diego Pounds from Ole Miss, he's probably kind of like a 5th or 6th.
He's a later round.
Austin Barber, he's kind of all over the map. I really don't know where Austin Barber is going to land, because there's a lot to like for the guy from Florida. He's faced a lot of stiff competition, including Reuben Bain. And so I don't really know where he's actually going to land. But at the same time, I know he's not going in the first round, and I know he ain't going in the second round. At least I'd be very surprised if he went in the second round. And so it is interesting, but to your point, I mean, guy has 5 inches on him every which way, right? Not including how broad his wingspan may actually be the difference, but each arm. And Reuben Bain, I mean, you turn on the tape,
It's how much belief, as a organization and GM and all those involved, that you believe he'll be just as good or better in the pros.
Yeah.
Because he'll be going more one-on-one, hopefully, and you can win some of those matchups. But if it doesn't work, though, your plan is if, you draft Bain, if it doesn't work, you can still move him inside.
Yes. That's the interesting thing about him is where does he act? I think it's going to be very team dependent about where he kind of starts out. I don't know if every team will actually start him majority of the time on the outside. There may be guys who say, hey, you can kind of, it's not the same, but you kind of look at Braden Fisk, right? He was the guy from Florida State a few years ago. He's a little shorter guy, defensive lineman. And I should actually pull up his measurements to see, because it popped in my head, but how much difference Braden Fisk versus Reuben Bain is just in the measurements department, because he's been finding success at his size on the defensive line at the Rams. So there is a spot.
But he's playing D tackle.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if you moved Reuben Bain on the inside.
Yeah, but he played outside? I thought he was inside the entire time, Fisk.
He that's what I'm saying. If you move Bain inside.
No, well, yeah. But I mean, that's it's kind of hard to compare a guy who played actually outside.
And then moved inside?
Yes, that is what I'm getting at. That's why you're thinking, Fisk played inside the entire time, even when he went to another school first. Then he
because he was one of those.
I think he was a Division II or the FCS or something.
Yeah.
Then he went there. Dude's motor Fisk was out of control.
And it was so good.
It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I wanted the Titans to get that guy.
Well, he was a guy that a lot of scouts or I think a lot of people in this market dinged because of his arm length. And
it's because he was a smaller school. Yeah, but when you turn on the tape, there was no doubt. And see, at D tackle, it's not as big of an issue as playing outside.
And he also went in the second round. So, I mean, to your point, but I mean, if you're trying to find maybe the best path for Reuben Bain, it may be at defensive line or defensive tackle. But I mean, I'm willing to at least kind of ride it out and see what he is at edge first.
Right.
You know
of
what
course.
I'm saying?
No, I'm with you there. Yeah. If it you want to have a plan, it's just no different than, they move Latham from left tackle to right tackle. And if it don't work, then they may move him inside. I don't know. But you got to have a plan he's slightly a half step too slow. What could happen here if we moved him, if that becomes a thing, maybe going into a second and third year?
Yeah.
because he's still a productive player because he's a football player.
Well,
So he's gonna have success at some
and
point.
it's also kind of like a bad example, sort of, but like, you know, the Giants, when they drafted Eric Flowers, an offensive tackle, a few years back, he found his best success. He failed as an offensive tackle, and they refused to move him for the longest time. Then they put him at guard, and he excelled at guard.
Oh, I remember that was probably a handful of years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Maybe 10 years
It's
ago.
just one of those random ones that pop in my head.
Mm-hmm. So that's, but man, when you pick 4, and you really don't want to be moving a guy like that.
Right. That's the tough.
Yeah, that's the, because your value there is he's a rusher, he's a pass rusher. That's why you're going 4.
And to be honest, we're going to talk about it coming up next. The scouts are a little confused about where to play Reuben Bain right now. So we're going to talk about how the scouts over at Go Long TD. Oh, no, actually, coming up next, we'll have Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports. So we'll talk about that later. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
As a former pro athlete, I know how nagging pain and old injuries can hold you back. So if you want to feel better, move better, and get back to the things you love, now is the time to take care of it. That's why I trust Edge Peptide and Hormone Therapy. So if you got joint pain, a recent injury, or just not recovering the way you used to, Edge has regenerative treatment options designed to help your body heal itself. And everything from PRP and stem cell therapy to peptide packages that reduce inflammation, repair tissue, and improve mobility. Trust me, I know. And fellas, if something is keeping you from performing at your best in the gym or on the course or where else, in the bed, well, Edge has performance enhancement treatment packages that help you show up stronger, recover faster, and stay in the game longer, if you know what I mean. And Edge does it right. Extensive lab work, one-on-one conversations with your nurse practitioner, customized treatment plans, and they only use U.S.-based FDA-audited compounding pharmacies because knowing where your peptides come from always matter. And your $250 consultation fee is waived, what you're saying, Blaine Bishop sent you. So spend this month restoring so you can thrive the rest of the year. So just give them a call at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878. Or schedule online at edgepeptide.com.
This is a different court, Blair.
Same result, Slay.
Okay, Blair. See, that's Tyler Tanner. See, Tyler Tanner's in the house now.
Let's see what you got. Jury's out, Blair.
Blair, come on. Okay, Blair, just come sit down. Come on, Blair, stop. You're going to get hurt. Blair, get off the court. That's enough.
What's the verdict, Blair? The courtroom is where I play ball.
Boy, Durham, injury law. And that ain't got no roof.
Cover 2. Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And guess what? It's Friday. That means we go to Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports. And Jordan, Philadelphia back in the news, and this week, I don't know if you call it a hit piece or a documentary, maybe a hate-umentary with Jalen Hurts. Is this really a Jalen Hurts thing, or is this he's the sacrificial lamb up there for the Philadelphia Eagles issues?
What's going on, friends? Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I think a hit piece is actually a pretty accurate way to describe this. In fact, I would say the ESPN article really does approach the level of almost a bombshell report. I mean, we knew that the Eagles' offense took a big step backwards in 2025, and there are always questions about Jalen Hurts as a passer, and it felt like we got some clarity on some of the obstacles that the Eagles have had to overcome. And just going off the piece, it's hard not to say, yeah, it seems like Jalen Hurts could potentially be the reason that Philadelphia has been unable to evolve. I like the way that ESPN put it. They said that Jalen Hurts has had a hand in the Eagles' offense becoming calcified, and that he has rigid preferences that inhibited the evolution of Philly's offense. So he apparently continually fights inside the building with being put under center. He doesn't like turning his back to the defense on play action. He's slow to embrace new wrinkles for the offensive scheme, such as motions and shifts. And he'll change plays to what some feel like is an excessive degree, too. And while everyone was criticizing the offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, this wasn't just a Kevin Patullo issue. Jalen Hurts even reportedly had some tense moments with Kellen Moore during their Super Bowl run. And Kellen Moore basically had to compromise with his quarterback when it came to changes he wanted to implement within the offense. So here we have a quarterback that is reluctant to throw against zone coverage. He diverts from the game plan, and his coaches and wide receivers are unhappy. So I like what ESPN said when they said it seems like Jalen Hurts is at a crossroads, and he has a new offensive coordinator coming in as Sean Mannion, who is very inexperienced, and he's going to be called upon to revolutionize this offense. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I would definitely describe this as a hit piece. I think that's accurate.
Well, I mean, if he's doing, here's my question, and you may not have the answer, but if he's doing that to an experienced play caller like Kellen Moore was when we had him, and he did it to Kevin Patullo, who's maybe not an experienced guy, what's going to prevent him from doing the same thing to Sean Mannion, who's only coached in the league for 2 years, who has no relationship to the Eagles? Like, why is he suddenly going to listen to Sean Mannion?
Yeah, man.
Exactly. And even though this was a hit piece, there was some reported positivity sprinkled in throughout the very long piece. And one of those small moments of positivity was saying that Jalen Hurts is now more open to change than he ever has been. And I even wrote this on CBSSports.com saying, well, good, he has to be, because not only is Sean Mannion this inexperienced offensive coach that is going to implement some things that are against what Jalen Hurts has gone against recently. We're talking about under center. We're talking about play action. We're talking about Jalen Hurts being called upon to be more of a processor, right? Some of those McVay Shanahan elements. I think that's what Sean Mannion is going to bring to the fold. So I think that these two are going to have to work together, be able to compromise with each other. And I really do think that Jalen Hurts is going to have to take it upon himself to be open to new ideas, embrace them. And again, this Eagles offense is full of talent. We don't know if A.J. Brown's going to be in the fold, but all the pieces are there. So that's why Jalen Hurts is at a crossroads entering 2026.
So let me ask you this, with Tom Brady recently kind of like poked around with the idea of him coming back. Did he not know that he would not be able to come back? Like, what's even the point of even asking if you can come back?
Yeah, that was pretty weird, because it was very clear that when Tom Brady was going through this process of becoming a minority owner with the Raiders, I think the old rule was that if it got approval from 3/4 of the NFL owners, that Tom Brady could potentially return, hypothetically. But when Tom Brady was going through this entire transaction, the NFL actually made a rule saying that he could not come back. So I don't know if Tom Brady was kind of joking around when he made that comment to whoever it was, CNBC, I think it was, during a weird interview. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the genesis of that was. But the NFL, when they went through this process, made it very clear that Tom Brady could not return to play.
We're going around the NFL with Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports.
Well, Jordan, man, I'm just now seeing here on Adam Schefter, I guess a day ago, the Falcons got new jerseys.
Did they? Because they look like the Arizona Cardinals uniform. If you ask me.
I'm looking at them right now. I'm like, oh my man, they did this whole video and everything else. So, other teams are making changes. I guess, what do you think the foundation of all of this is? Is it more marketing and just updating, or just at some point each team is kind of going to go through this?
So I think that's a great question. And if you're asking for my honest opinion, I think that we're seeing so many changes with the uniforms because the previous rebrands that teams went through were not universally accepted by the fan bases. I think we've seen that with a couple of different franchises. The one that the Falcons recently went through a couple of years ago, it was edgy, it was unique, it felt really modern, but I wouldn't describe it as tasteful or even good. I don't know if it's something that the Falcons fan base loved. So what they did this time around is they went to more of a plain look, right? And more just simple white jersey, simple red jersey, simple black jersey. But again, I don't like them. I don't know how Falcons fans feel about them, but when I look at them, I see that kind of looks like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or that kind of looks like the Arizona Cardinals. So we're seeing a lot of these teams actually really roll out new uniforms. I appreciate what the Tennessee Titans did because it was different enough. It was going back to the Oilers days. They look like the Oilers, but they're keeping a similar logo to what they had with the Tennessee Titans. But yeah, there's a lot of changes around the NFL, and the Falcons will not be the only team to be changing their uniforms.
Well, let's talk about a former Falcon. That is Kirk Cousins, man. Now he is a Raider, I guess, by Tech Brady and Kubiak with all the familiarity around their veteran. How does this affect how they're going to, I guess, have this plan, assuming it will be Mendoza as far as quarterback? Is it kind of what Tom Brady kind of went through and wait and set, until my man Drew Bledsoe got actually injured? I mean, or they're trying to put him out there sooner than later. And by the way, Kirk Cousins, I mean, he luck is over. He is the highest paid player, I think, of all time. I'm like, man, I mean, or is he just going to walk in the Hall of Fame and he's never really done nothing in the playoffs? I'm like, this is kind of interesting because he gets paid as though he has. Nothing against Kirk, and I do like him as a player.
Yeah, he's definitely in the financial Hall of Fame. And in fact, I would argue that his agent needs to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Give him a gold jacket, right? But he can't keep getting away with this. But with this Kirk Cousins contract, I love it because you can argue it's a 5-year, $172 million deal or a 1-year, $1.3 million contract because the Falcons are paying him $8.7 million. The Raiders are paying $1.3 million. And then there's a $10 million roster bonus that comes next year. People are talking as if that's going to be fully guaranteed and something that Kirk Cousins will see. I'm not 100% certain on that. But looking at Kirk Cousins' contracts, man, I think $339 million of $341 million Kirk Cousins has earned was guaranteed. Literally all of the money he's basically made in the NFL has been guaranteed. He's not the highest paid player in terms of earnings in the NFL just yet. I think that's Matthew Stafford, who's made over $400 million. Tom Brady has almost $33 million. Kirk Cousins is nearly $322. But to answer your question, I think you would agree that this was a good move, right? You don't want Mendoza or any rookie quarterback, really, for the most part, to come in and immediately start week one. There's going to be growing pains regardless of how great you are. The question is, Kirk Cousins is still a capable quarterback. I'm not going to argue he's a top 10 quarterback at this point in his career, but I think the natural question is, when exactly are we going to see Fernando Mendoza? Because we all expect this Raiders team to be improved. So when is going to be that natural insertion point when Mendoza can enter the starting lineup? Is that going to be mid-season? Is it going to be after mid-season, depending on how the campaign is going? That's the question I'm really curious about, because I still think Kirk Cousins is capable of playing at least average ball.
Well, naturally, we're on with Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports. There were owners' meetings and, rule changes. Anything kind of stand out that you like or dislike about the rules that were existing as well as changed?
Yeah, there were a lot of rule changes. The one that really stuck out to me was it's specified for 1 year only. They're going to allow the NFL officiating department to correct clear and obvious mistakes made by on-field officials that impact the game if we have replacement refs. And again, it does feel like we're going to have replacement refs in 2026. I think this is fascinating because I have a lot of questions that come with it. There need to be guardrails in place. Like, for example, how often will this be used? And number two, two, there needs to be a time frame the league establishes when they can jump in, right? The quicker, the better. If you guys remember that Seahawks-Rams game at the end of the regular season, that was fantastic. It was probably the game of the year. Do you remember how long it took them to go back and review that 2-point conversion? Like, we were sitting around for like 10 minutes. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I am okay. In fact, I'm actually supportive of the NFL going back to more of the eye in the sky. Let's make sure we get everything correct. But if we do that, it has to be done in a succinct fashion. It has to be expedited. It has to be quick. So if the NFL does go this route, they have to make sure they have these guardrails in place where they can make sure it doesn't actually affect the play on the field.
I guess lastly for me, I guess Puka Nacua is going to rehab, I guess, after this lawsuit and saying some other crazy stuff here. What do you think the league's perspective is on it, or it hasn't reached that point of maybe a fine or something else? I'm just trying to view, what do you think the league looks at it? What's going on with them here?
So the NFL, I'm sure, is keeping tabs on it and looking into the situation with the lawsuit that was filed. But yeah, Puka Nacua's attorney came out and said that Puka has been in rehab, and they are calling it a holistic care facility to focus on his personal growth. And his attorney also mentioned that this doesn't have to do with the lawsuit from the woman who says he bit her. He says that Puka's been in before that lawsuit was filed. And, a lot of people talked to Sean McVay during the owners' meetings about this. And the coach didn't seem, incredibly concerned, not that we expected him to when he was speaking with reporters. He was reiterating that he hopes that Puka Nacua is going to be a Ram for a long time and that he needs to continue to grow in all areas of life. But to your point, it doesn't exactly come at a great time considering Puka is negotiating to become the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history.
Ooh, man. Well, speaking of real quick, Pickens there with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
How is this going to go with this franchise tag, and will it be a holdout? What are your predictions?
Yeah, I mean, I predict it's going to be messy. That's just what happens with the Dallas Cowboys,
That's
right?
true.
Man,
I think Jerry Jones is addicted to things getting messy. Yeah. But I mean, it's also interesting because I don't think Pickens has a case to reset the market. He's going to fall somewhere inside the top 10 when we're talking north of $30 million. So where exactly does that come in? Like CeeDee Lamb, for example, I think he ranks number 4 in highest paid wide receivers at $34 million a year. He's not going to break that barrier, at least in my opinion. I'm sure his agent's going to be fighting for it. But if we're talking about somewhere around 30 to 32-ish kind of $1 million, that's kind of where my projected contract would be for George Pickens, who's coming off a remarkable campaign. It's really cool how that change of scenery paid immediate dividends for a player of that ilk. We all knew George Pickens was so talented, and that match with the Cowboys and Dak Prescott was just absolutely phenomenal. But again, I do expect it to get messy. I do expect the Cowboys to kind of drag their feet when it comes to paying him. So, well, again, we'll just have to see what happens.
All right. What is the biggest storyline currently for the NFL draft?
So I think that we could probably argue it's where does Ty Simpson go, but I'm sure there's some fatigue centered around that subject. We broke it down all on your airwaves last week. Another one that I kind of find fascinating is where exactly is Jeremiah Love's floor, right? The running back out of Notre Dame, arguably the best player in this entire draft class, regardless of position. The Tennessee Titans have long been favored to take him at number 4 overall, but as you indicated earlier on your show, those odds are kind of shifting. So I've been of the belief that I think the Titans are probably going to go defense over Jeremiah Love. But if that happens, where exactly does he go? Could he be a fit at number 5 to the New York Giants? I know they got Cam Scatterbo, but with Harbaugh coming in, is he going to pass on a player? He knows how important having running backs is to his offense as a whole. So the New York Giants could be a landing spot. The Cleveland Browns at number 6, I'm sure that would be a team that would receive some trade calls. I don't know if they're going to exactly take him. I think his floor for Jeremiah Love could be number 7 with the Washington Commanders. They need a legitimate RB1 to pair with Jaden Daniels. I think that Washington would be a good fit for Jeremiah Love if he lasts that long.
All right. I don't know if you know anything about baseball cards, so or football cards. Do you know anything about football trading cards?
No, I have a box of them, but I can't really.
I was going to ask you to explain to me the importance of what's being announced of Cam Ward and Drake May being the cover athletes, but you won't be able to explain half the terminology, I guess, to me.
Because that's 2025.
Yeah, Ward will also have one of the biggest chase cards in the product, as his 1-1 rookie premier patch autograph will be in the set. Like, I have no clue what any of this means. I didn't even know baseball.
Like he'll make some money.
Yeah, I didn't know trading cards were back in style, I guess. I have a whole bunch of them in my garage.
Say they're back,
from the 90s.
there.
Where have you been, Zach? You've been like hiding under a rock?
I'm 40. What am I going to do with trading cards? Like, what am I going to do with those?
Make a lot of money like some of these.
I guess so. I mean, like, I need to go back into my garage and find some and maybe see if there's any that I can make some money off of. But I didn't know that trading cards are bad. I have no. We'll get Joseph to explain this later. Then
hey, maybe I can get some, money for my Hot Wheel cars.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
When I was a kid too.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, Jordan. What is your conspiracy theory about what's really going on with this substation over in San Francisco near the 49ers facilities? Because I've been watching Paradise on Hulu, and I'm beginning to question and wonder if maybe there's an underground facility underneath that substation in San Francisco that's going to house very important people in the case of an epic natural disaster.
Is that what the 49ers are doing? Are they just doomsday preppers?
Maybe they are. I don't know.
I will say this, man. I know that the 49ers hired this expert to come and check the radioactive waves or whatever they are, electronic waves, when it comes to where they practice and where their practice facilities are. And what John Lynch came out and said was that the findings basically were a nothing burger. Maybe that's true, but I don't even like that there's a conspiracy theory around this. Like, why do we have to practice that close to an electric substation? It just doesn't seem right. And, I mean, if the health of your players is of the utmost importance, like, wouldn't you just I feel like it wouldn't be too tough to move the field over or go practice in a different location that's not too far away. The 49ers were arguably the most injured team in the NFL this past season. They were able to overcome that, right, and go into Philadelphia and win that playoff game. But again, the amount of injuries they dealt, especially with on the defensive side of the ball, were just incredible. It really sunk their season. So I'm not trying to say that I'm a conspiracy theorist or that I'm fully buying into it, but if there's noise around a subject like this, why not just squash that noise and let's go practice somewhere else?
Which position group will have the most players go in the first round?
Ooh, that's a good question. Where is offensive line rank in the odds? I haven't looked at the odds, but what about offensive linemen? That might be someone just in general. Maybe if I had to differentiate between tackles and guards, it would be a little different. But one of the common themes that has been reported on entering this offseason was teams being desperate for offensive line help. And we've seen that with some of the trades that took place right before free agency and even some of the free agency deals we saw signed this offseason. So maybe that pushes up some offensive tackles and even some interior offensive line guys up the draft board on opening night.
Is the having to declare an onside kick the stupidest rule right now in the NFL?
It's tough because even if you declare it, there's no such thing as a surprise. So everyone's going to line up in formation to recover the onside kick. They changed that rule, and I really am curious how much it's going to be utilized. Will it be seen once or twice, this season? I don't think it's anything that's really groundbreaking with the NFL.
When it comes to the NFL draft, I got one more draft question for you. Who will be the team that will surprise everyone and take a guy that says, huh? Because Seattle, for like 2 or 3 drafts back in Pete Carroll's days, they were the team that reached for a random player that you're very confused on. And even what the Detroit Lions did with Jahmyr Gibbs and, that linebacker, this name that always escapes me for whatever reason that they drafted. They kind of surprised Pete. Yeah, Jack Campbell. They always surprise me. Or they surprise a bunch of people with those 2 picks. So, like, who is going to be the team that makes a surprise pick? And you don't have to name the player, but, who's the team that you think is going to do that?
Well, I think you nailed it. I mean, the Detroit Lions, who did they take last year? The Tyleik Williams. That was not a player I saw coming off the board where he did. I think the Lions are always going to be in the mix for that. But, hey, maybe it's the Tennessee Titans. Maybe they shock everybody by taking Sonny Styles, the linebacker of Ohio State, at number 4.
Oh, I like that one.
One more. It is kind of a fun-loving question. I know you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and naturally a graduate of the Vols. Now that the Titans have Hendon Hooker and Will Levis, if you're on the Steelers side of this and you had some say-so, which quarterback would you trade for to come to the Steelers and quit being held hostage by Aaron Rodgers?
Man, I hate to say this, but I'm kind of surprised Hendon Hooker got a job, to be honest with you. That was a little surprise. Guys, I mean, there's a reason he's only played in three NFL games in 3 years. Early on in his career when I watched him in the preseason, I said, wow, this guy's going to add something from a dual threat standpoint. This is fun. But, man, his last preseason with the Lions was a disaster. He had a 55% completion percentage, 40 passing attempts turned into 187 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He was inaccurate. He couldn't throw with anticipation. I don't think he had a good feel of what NFL Open is at this level. So I don't know if Hendon Hooker is exactly long for this roster. It would be really cool and a really cool Tennessee story for him to be that practice squad quarterback in 2026. But yeah, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, for example, I'm definitely still trying to trade for Will Levis.
All right. Here's my question. You get Michigan versus Arizona, Illinois versus UConn, then you got the championship game coming up. Give us your predictions.
Well, I'm going to take the University of Michigan to beat Arizona. I'm really excited for that game. I'm going to take Michigan because I had them in the championship in my bracket. My bracket is an absolute disaster, but I'm hoping I get at least one thing right with that. Illinois UConn is going to be fascinating. Guys, I went to Illinois versus Tennessee earlier this year when they played in Bridgestone Arena, and I was absolutely appalled by the fact that Illinois fans took over Bridgestone Arena. It was played in the state of Tennessee, but Illinois had more fans there. They were chanting Packers suck to enter the arena. It was unbelievable. So I think that UConn is a potential team of destiny with the way they upset Duke. So I'm going to lean towards UConn, even though there's going to be a lot of Illinois fans in the building.
There you go. All right, Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports. We went around the NFL with him. Jordan, enjoy the NCAA tournament this weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
No problem. All right, coming up next, I guess I'm going to ask Joseph. I'm going to interview Joseph or Ross. I think Ross is in there too. I'm going to ask him about this credit card or not credit card stuff. Give me your credit card numbers on the air. These trading card stuff because I see the hype all over about this announcement. I have no clue what it is, so I want to be educated on it. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Google.
Cover 2. Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Join 104.5 The Zone for a live taping of The Install with Greg Cassell and Buck Rising at the Analog at Hutton Hotel on Friday, May 1st. Be there as Greg Cassell and special guests break down the Tennessee Titans 2026 draft and free agency, take questions from the audience, and more. The Install Live is sponsored by Two Rivers Ford, local, honest, real, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, and tickets are on sale now for $50 to purchase tickets. Visit 1045thezone.com. All right, Joseph. Because I'm just curious, and if I don't ask this question now, it will plague me for the rest of the weekend. So, Cam Ward and Drake May have been named the cover athletes of the newly licensed Topps Chrome football trading card set. Whatever that, I know Topps is a brand. I can at least get there on that. Chrome must be like the special edition name for it to make it sound cool, which
Correct.
makes it sound like it's from the 90s cool. Ward will also have one of the biggest chase cards in the product, as his one of one rookie premier patch autograph will be in the set, featuring the patch he wore during his first NFL game this past September, which I didn't even know that he wore. I mean, I don't. What does that mean?
I think all the rookies wore like a rookie debut patch. And so basically what they do is they take that part of the uniform and they put it into a trading card. And this specific trading card is one of one, which means there's only one that they put in production, and it's stamped one of one. The thing about that for Cam Ward is because he wears number one, a lot of these collectors like to jersey match numbers with the card numbers. So say if it's like a set of, it's a set where there's like only 10 in the world. There's only 10 in production, and you get 1 out of 10. If you can jersey match that and get the number with the jersey, so for Cam Ward, if there were 10 of them and you got 1 out of 10, that would make the card even more valuable. That's just what the collectors put it on. Now, the reason it's such a big deal is because a lot of these cards, and that card in particular, the one of one Cam Ward with the rookie debut auto patch, which means it's got a Cam Ward autograph plus part of his jersey from his rookie season, that's going to go for a lot of money. I mean, there are cards that go for tens of... Even
if he's not good? Like if his career just derails?
So that's the thing. The trading card market is so fluctuating. Like right now is probably the best time to buy into Cam Ward stock, because right now he's still young. There's still room for him to grow and room for him to be one of the greats, quote unquote, right? But if you buy, it later on his career, say he doesn't have a good career, and you buy it later, and it's not going to be worth as much. So you kind of got to like pick and choose on where you want to lay your eggs at, because if you pick the wrong player and you buy in early, then you could be out if they don't turn out to be good. So that one in particular, probably going to be good just based on the projection of where Cam Ward is headed. Now, like I said, if he turns out to be a bust, that's going to be someone losing a lot of money if they end up buying that.
But it's only one card.
There's only one of them.
So the chances, anybody in Nashville getting it's got to be astronomical, I guess, right? Like if it's only one card of one, good luck. Finding it, I guess.
There are people who chase these cards professionally for a job.
So I guess that's why for a job?
They make their living off of trading cards. Yeah. Some of these cards go for tens of thousands of dollars. In the wrong business,
I guess, if you can just do this. Chase these cards. I guess that's why it's called a chase card.
That's exactly why.
There you go.
Oh, dang.
So if someone gets it, hit me up. I'll buy it for you. I'll buy it from you for like $10.
Right.
I don't think I think after that explanation and you saying that they can go for thousands upon thousands of dollars, I don't think your $10 is going to make it there.
Well, it's all I got. So I can't afford to go in more than that on a piece of cardboard.
I've seen people start bringing up and doing opening videos where they open up the package of cards and show it to everybody like an unboxing thing. I just didn't know that they were still a big thing, I guess.
I think it's coming back.
It's coming back. Everything comes back in style.
Back around, yeah, man.
That's what we've learned. All right, the scouts over at Go Long TD, Blaine, talked about today the defensive pass rush group. And they had some interesting things to say just about the class overall. And they got some interesting stuff about the prospects I want to get to here in just a few. But They said the edge rusher in this draft is one of the few positions in this draft where supply more than meets demand. Most noticeably beyond the first round and stretching well into the middle rounds. I would say it's deep, one executive said. I would not say it's necessarily like, wow, top heavy. But when you get into the second through the fourth round, it's really solid. In the last 8 drafts, an average of 25.89 edge rushers have been drafted, including 4.5 on average in the first round. After interviewing personnel people for the past 2 months, the sense here is that 30 plus will be drafted, and then about 22 of that 30 could fall in the first 4 rounds. Some, but not all, edge rushers are capable of playing both defensive end in a 4-3 base and outside linebacker in a 3-4 base. But a scout said there's a lot of very good 4-3 defensive ends. I don't know that there's a lot of playmakers at the top of the draft. There's a lot of mid to second round to the top of the fourth. You can get some really good players that will help your team. I just don't know that any of these guys will be really dynamic. So when you hear that, I almost want to say, like, hey, I think I would still go Jeremiah Love. That really doesn't change my opinion at all, I guess, but it does sound
I
like
thought you were talking about the defensive end.
Yeah.
This is reflected on you being right on the Love.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm just saying it sounds like it's not a bad strategy to maybe go for a third or fourth round guy. And with the current state of the Tennessee, not every team can do that. Mm-hmm. But I think with the state of the Tennessee Titans, third or fourth round, maybe second. I know there's a black hole Bermuda Triangle in the second round. But I think there could be some guys that could at least provide you good value at the pick you're picking.
Well, I don't know the history. Do you know the history of third and fourth round pass rushers?
Well, I know that last year when I looked it up, just specifically last year, the fourth rounders outperformed the second rounders. And I just sack-wise and stuff like that. So I don't know the history in it. I just have the history of the second rounders themselves.
Over
but
the last,
yeah,
like 5 years or so.
Yeah.
That's just kind of interesting because it's about what you're looking for. You're looking for depth pieces, I would say, yes, in the fourth round. I can't recall a fourth round guy being a really impactful player as a pass rusher.
Yeah, not their rookie year, I would say. It'd be very hard to find.
So,
now, like Trey Hendrickson, I think, was drafted in the fourth round. Max Crosby was drafted. Maybe Max Crosby would be the closest guy that you could
what was
find.
that, about 6, 7 years?
Yeah, so that would probably be the closest real boom as a
I would
rookie.
say he's an outlier. Probably.
Right. I'm with you on that. And Trey Hendrickson turned into his. Like, it wasn't instant. He turned into his.
So, what I think they're trying to get at, that you can get some quality players, maybe not as much as an impactful player, but a rotational guy. You're getting an NFL player. You're getting a guy who can contribute, whether it's, being a specialist as a pass rusher or, just give you solid play to give the guy a break, kind of like Harrell. I think that's what they're referring to, a guy like that, even though he went later. So I don't know if that really tells me anything besides that. What we already know is that they have some elite players at the top, and then we got some good quality players in the second and third round, maybe even to the fourth round, that can start in this league and eventually be starters in this league and be good contributors, and no, I guess, heavy elite blue chipper guys outside of that. So that's so that hasn't changed to me.
Yeah.
It's whether one group is deeper than the other as far as offensive tackles to defensive ends is a whole nother story, but how much will they be contributing immediately? I just think that's just hard to say.
I would agree with that. And when we come back, we'll talk about some of the top prospects and maybe some surprising, because University of Tennessee edge rusher got some love from these scouts, and I found what they said very interesting. So we're going to talk about all these edge rushers. Joshua Joseph.
Oh, yeah.
He got some love. So we'll talk about that when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Tighten up.
Good afternoon. It is 2 o'clock. I'm Joseph Bonanno, live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Downs Studios. Today, the NFL announced the offseason workout dates for all 32 teams. The Titans will begin offseason work on Tuesday, April 7th, with voluntary minicamp being April 21st through the 23rd. The team also has 10 OTAs scheduled for late May and early June, and mandatory minicamp will be June 16th and 17th. In college basketball news, North Carolina head coach job still open after Arizona's Tommy Lloyd announced on Friday that he has turned down the position despite being offered a top 2 contract in college basketball from the Tar Heels. In response, Arizona is giving Lloyd an extension to make him a top 5 highest paid coach in the sport. He took less to stay, but will still get a bump up to $7.2 million this season and will average $7.5 million over the next rest of the contract. Staff pool will also get a huge bump, plus incentives brought back to their contract structures, and he'll no longer report to the AD. The Final Four gets underway on Saturday. 3-seed Illinois, 2-seed UConn tips at 5:10. Battle of the 1 seeds, Michigan versus Arizona, tips at 7:50. For your foundation repair, waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Bringing news at once on your home to the Titans and Balls. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Join 104.5 The Zone on Thursday, April 9th at Circus Sports Kentucky as we broadcast live from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the start of the prestigious Masters Tournament. Circus Sports Kentucky is designed by players for players, inspired by years spent on both sides of the sportsbook counter. The Circus Sports Kentucky app brings you your own wish list to life. Located in the heart of downtown Franklin at the Mint at Kentucky Downs, their sportsbook blends modern technology with traditional retail service with over 1,700 square feet of high-definition displays and ensuring both quick self-service and hands-on assistance. Learn more at circusports.com.
Oh, yeah, I see some guys here on the chat helping us out. We were talking about this one guy, at least I mentioned his name, the Highsmith guy.
Yeah, Alex Highsmith.
Also, Jared Allen.
Yeah. That's a good one.
But yeah, that was a real good one, So we're talking about every draft probably I'll have one.
One or two like that.
That's a tough call.
It is.
Yeah.
Because I will say this, I don't remember Trey Hendrickson's state.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't even know that was a while back.
Yeah, but Max Crosby, who got drafted in the 2019 draft.
Conference, let's go, baby.
I mean, I remember thinking like, man, if the Titans can draft him, in the 3rd, and he ended up going the 4th. Oh. And he had, over at Eastern Michigan, outstanding tape. I will say this. I don't know of a guy off the top of my head in this draft that has as good a tape as Max Crosby. But that's not to say that, like in Trey Hendrickson's case, who got drafted in the 3rd round out of Florida Atlantic, I mean, he went from 2 sacks, 0 sacks, 4.5 sacks, 13.5 sacks with New Orleans before hitting free agency, and then it went 14, 8, 17.5, 17.5, and of course 4 last year through 7 games. So you can turn into it at any point, just about finding those reps, finding and identifying those players that can do that. And speaking of, we were talking about the edge rushers and how this kind of draft class is shaping up. And I'm going to read from the top ones later on, but I want to get to Joshua Josephs because I don't know. We've talked about Joshua Josephs, and I know that you in the past have talked about comparing Joshua Josephs to James Pierce. So I want to give you, again, refresh the fans about your thoughts on Joshua Josephs versus James Pierce, who went in the 1st round last year. At their time in Tennessee.
At the time, I said I really liked Joshua Joseph as an all-around player. He was a better all-around player. Naturally, Pierce was the better athlete. It had speed, but his total game wasn't really built to me to be as successful as Joseph as an all-around player. Now, that can happen when you're just a pass rusher. Everybody's going after the sacks. But I still thought Joseph brought a lot to the table, and he had some burst and speed to power that I really liked. So I actually ended up noticing him a little bit more just because I like all-around players. I don't like one-tool players, unless you're just elite of the elite. Now, and Pierce had some of that, but there was also times where you saw him getting blocked by guys I thought he shouldn't have been blocked, and you never saw that with Joseph.
Yeah.
So he's a quality player. I would say his career would be a little bit better, probably a little more consistent as long as he didn't get any injuries, knock on wood for him. A little bit better than, let's say, Harold Landry. Maybe a 9 to 10 sack guy consistently season after season, 8 to 10, especially early on in his career. I just think he looks the part and he plays the part. He plays the run just as well as he can get after the quarterback. I really thought he was. I think he's a second-round guy. And he could, if the draft goes the right way for him, if some guys start getting taken, some pass rusher, he's going to be the top of the list and can squeak into the bottom of the first just because of that. Because if anybody's doing their real homework for the NFL, he's got to be at the top of the list.
Well, you talk about that.
Top of the list for second-round guys.
I think you're spot on because Joshua Joseph's, I mean, you just nailed basically everything I'm going to read.
Oh.
They said second round. In this, they think he's a second-round guy. And you say that because anybody who studies the NFL would say that guy would be a second round.
Yeah, his game fits it, yeah.
And it's funny because the consensus draft board, made up of all the draft media people and all this stuff, have him in the third round at 82 overall player.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, you're ranking all the players, and that can end up happening, but I don't think he'll be a third-round guy.
I mean, the way that these...
Like, if the Titans, let's say, if they took Tate... I would be now. I know a lot of people wouldn't be super. They'd be okay, Tate. Okay, you shouldn't have took him that high. I would be just as excited as if they got Joseph in the second round with the 35th pick.
I mean, let me say something.
He can play in any scheme in any system.
No doubt.
It doesn't even matter.
We've talked a lot on this show about speed to power and being almost an immediate translator to the NFL. You can point to Will Anderson, Jared Verse. They're some of the best guys. They have instant impact on their teams. And Joshua Joseph, I was shocked because, first off, he's number 8 overall of all the edge rushers, according to the scouts that were interviewed for this. I mean, they spend over too much.
Things we know, who do we not know?
So it would be, I'll just go real quick. Arvell Reese is not included in this. He'll probably be in the off-ball linebacker. But if he was included, they said that he would have been number 1. But we're going to go David Bailey, Reuben Bain. Then it is Zion Young, who I thought was really high on this list, number 3. Then Keldrick Falk from Auburn at number 4. Akeem Mesidor at 5. Cassius Howell at 6. T.J. Parker at 7. Joshua Joseph is at 8. And I would say this. None of them had almost unanimous praise as much as Joshua Joseph's did. That's even David Bailey and Reuben Bain.
Right. I'm glad you gave me the board. I would have him in front of Howe and who was the other? Parker. Yeah, he would be ahead of them on my board if I was.
So he would be number 5 for you.
Yeah.
I think that's a good spot for him.
And there's a part of me. Mesidor is just a better pass rusher. So I could go back and forth with that one.
I'd say Mesidor and Joshua Joseph was pretty much the most unanimous favorite prospect that these scouts talked about.
Yeah. Not only do they have pass rush moves, but they're multi-tool players in any system, in any scheme. I like that. But I like how they get after the quarterback and they just feel like they're relentless football players. They don't run out of gas, as I talked about Bain. Now, Bain's in better shape now, but those they
talk about that.
They get after it.
So here's what they said about Joshua Josephs. One of the top edge rushers in this draft, one scout said. Not a sexy rusher.
Yeah.
He's a long-armed speed to power rusher who has consistently created vertical rush. He won't get as much love as Zion Young because he doesn't look as athletic, nor will he get the love of Reuben Bain because the hype isn't there. However, he has a chance to produce more than either one because his style will carry over to the NFL more efficiently. He'll most likely go in the second round and should be a career starter capable of 8 to 12 sacks per season due to his, you were all over, I'm telling you, due to his speed to power conversion and relentless motor. Good athlete, as second scout said. He's long, but not that big and can get washed off pretty quickly. He's not going to run through everybody. Kind of wins with his athleticism more than he does anything else. You'll see more speed to power out of him. And that's what they said about him. I mean, that's pretty good praise, even,
Trying to get a comparison.
I like it's not the same, but I kind of liked your Harold Landry comparison as far as career arc.
Yeah.
But not the style of player.
Yeah, I think different style, yeah. I want to say, what's the kid from with the Jaguars, Walker?
Oh, Trayvon Walker? No,
I'm sorry, not Walker.
Josh Allen Hines?
The Kentucky guy. The Kentucky guy.
Yeah, Josh Hines Allen or Josh Allen Hines. I don't know which way it goes.
Josh Hines Allen.
There you go.
Yeah, Josh Allen, because he didn't want to have the same name as Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Not anymore. He changed it.
Oh, man, I know. So, yeah, I think he's somewhat similar to that.
I like that.
Yeah, because, he's got the total package. I really like him as a player. Yeah, I would be elated Titans if they passed on a pass rusher with the first pick and got him in a second.
He doesn't really get a lot of talk as much as you would think, and I'm sitting here and listen. Shame on us.
How did he do with the pro day? Do you know, Joseph?
I don't. Did he run at the pro day?
Who, Joseph's?
Yeah.
He did. Give me 1 second. I can find that.
Because he didn't. I'm sure he was at the combine, and so he didn't run at the combine.
Yeah, he did run at the combine a 4.73, if I'm not mistaken, at the combine. I'm pulling it up over here.
All these things is the player that nothing jumps out except when you turn on the tape.
So, per Dane Brugler.
No, he did not run at the combine. So he did that 4.73 must be from his pro day.
Yeah. So per Dane Brugler, he got from an NFL team 4.73. I guess it's a 2.70. I guess it's a shuttle, and then a 1.68 split.
No, the 2.70 is the 20-yard split, and the one you just said was the
1.68 is the 10-yard split. Okay,
which is really good, and that's what I care about with my pass rushers.
Yeah.
So.
And what'd you say the split was? The 10-yard split?
The 10-yard was a 1.68.
Yeah, that's actually probably for his size pretty good.
Yeah. What did he weigh? What's his weight?
243 pounds, according to this right here.
243. Oh.
But, Gabe Yakis, who ran the other day, I think he ran like a 1.6 at 260, too, which is kind of crazy. But, yeah, I think there is something there that maybe if you did go Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Love and you went Joshua Josephson in a second, I think you would be pretty happy with that haul if you're the Tennessee Titans, if you're Robert Saleh, or if you're even a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think most fans would probably be like, okay, Carnell Tate, okay, a little bit of a reach, but he's a wide receiver, right? Like, he'll get a little benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And then you go and, pander to those University of Tennessee fans and get Joshua Joseph. Except for this time, you're getting a good player, I feel like. Like, I feel like you're getting a good pro. Not like Hendon Hooker.
Oh, you just threw Hook under the bus, man. Oh, man. Look, man, he's a developing player, man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Hey, man, he's in a good spot where, he'll probably make the practice squad for sure.
Okay, playing the value game. Just real quick. Joshua Joseph's at 35 speaks to me a lot more than Ruben Bain at 4. I think that's better value between those two pass rushers.
I would concur.
And then I will say they're not the same prospect.
With the risk element because of, and I feel bad because I'm a guy who was not tall enough to be a corner or fast enough or tall enough to be a safety. So but the fourth pick is this hard you can't have those kind of exceptions. It's tough. And it's hard to project if he actually will be that dominant player that a fourth pick is going to come with the territory. I don't know. I want to say he will, but man, I do not want to be the guy. I would run probably and put just Love up there just because I don't want to take Bain.
Yeah.
I know Love will be good. I know Sonny Styles will be good. I don't know about Bain. He maybe's more of a late round, 15, 16, 18. Yeah. If you trade back, now I'm all in on Bain.
Right. Here's the thing about Joshua Josephs, too. Out of the premier edge, not just the premier, I guess the draftable or draft-worthy edge rushers in the class, if you go all the way down to like 250, 300. Second largest wingspan in the class, but he's only 6'3".
Oh, wow.
He has an 83, almost 84, 83.875 inch wingspan.
Dang, that's almost bigger than Bananos.
Yeah. That's one banana across from the line. 34.25 inch arms, 10 inch hands. So that is almost 4 inches more hands than Ruben Bain. And that is Ruben Bain, remember his wingspan is 78.125. So we're talking about 78.125 versus 83.875 on a 6'3" body.
Yeah.
That is a good makeup for a pass rusher.
And I'm going to explain this to the listeners that why that matters so much. It's like you're doing hand combat and you're doing a lot of chopping, ripping, and then reaching for the back to then use your other arm to chop the arm down of offensive tackles.
Right.
So that's why it matters the length, because you're not going to have the advantage like you do in college where I'm one of the best here and I'm going against an average college starter, even if we're talking about in the SEC, AC, whatever conference it is, Big Ten. And so those then come into play. It's so much more because you're getting the best of the best. So they can anchor, and so he'll need to learn how to do all those pass rush moves if he doesn't know them all now. He also can add repertoire to there. So that's why it really does matter. You can't speed to power everybody like Bain does in college where he's just kind of annihilating them. It's just his strength, man. I'd like to, did you ever see him with Vrabel? Do any of that stuff Vrabel does? I'd love to see how he moved them.
No.
I know. I saw
who did it with Bain? Someone did. No, it's Jason Taylor did all the drills.
Oh, okay. I didn't see.
Yeah, Bain did it with Max Ionichor. The only one I've seen Mike Vrabel do this cycle was Max Ionichor, the offensive tackle from Arizona State.
Oh, I thought I saw him go against some defensive
Did he?
guy.
I may have missed it.
It was on a video, so
Gotcha.
so I was assuming it was I don't think it was an offense. It could have been.
I just know of that one video. I know that he does it a lot. So.
Yeah. That's his stick, and I love to see how how his body gets moved real quick and how quickly, and his facial expression on there, like, whoa, hey, stop that.
Well, you talk about a guy like Keldrick Falk who's on this list, who I think I would also put Joshua Josephs on my board ahead of Keldrick Falk. There may be a little bit Alabama Auburn
that's
bias.
where all the hate comes. You do not like him. I think he's
all right. He's a good run defender, but he's almost 6'6", and he has a shorter wingspan than Joshua Josephs. I just wanted to use that to illustrate that Josephs is almost 3 inches shorter but longer to further illustrate your point about how not only is he a speed to power rusher, but he's a speed to power rusher with range. That can also dip and get low because of his size.
Was that Coach Mack, that motorcycle lean?
There's something there.
Yeah,
there's something there, and I'm glad that we got to talk about Joshua Josephs and give his due.
I've never really mentioned him besides watch. And also, I'm a little biased. I get to watch him every week because I'm watching all the Tennessee games, and then I'm watching him against the other, SEC team. So I'm really honing in on the Tennessee players more so than anybody. So I felt like I really know him and how good he can be in the league. Yeah, I liked him last year, so I'm a little biased there.
All right, when we come back, we'll get to your phones. We'll get to Tristan and Brentwood. We'll talk to him. We'll also cover more of what they kind of said about some of these other pass rushers, and they echoed a lot of the stuff that we said yesterday, and I found that very interesting. You guys should be paying attention to what we say. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Oh. Want to know about a place where European Auto Repair doesn't feel like European Auto Repair? Well, hey, it's Blaine Bishop to tell you that the moment you walk into Eurofix, you'll notice Eurofix is not your typical greasy garage. Waiting rooms are pristine, they're clean, comfortable, and inviting, by the way, so you can actually work from your laptop if need be. Service areas are also spotless. Why? Because Eurofix cares about everything from how you are treated to how your vehicle is treated. And every repair comes with a rock-solid 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repairs Eurofix performs, and at below dealer pricing. And you don't have to put up with the dealer prices or get ghosted when you're waiting for that dreaded callback. And Eurofix fixes everything European. Plus, a rental car is available with every appointment. Locations all over the state of Tennessee and Nashville, Franklin, Bellmead, Murfreesboro, and Mount Juliet, and more to come. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can check them out online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Cover 2, Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Mark Spain Real Estate knows bills hit hard, so they're giving you a chance to escape. Enter now for your chance to win a vacation on them. No stress, no hassle. And the best part, you get to choose the getaway. Start packing. For more information and enter the contest, visit 1045thezone.com. And if you're planning some summer fun, just 2.5 hours from Nashville's Holiday World and Splashin' Safari offer world-class roller coasters, a top-ranked water park, and free unlimited soft drinks. Start planning your trip today at holidayworld.com. Opens May 9th. Want to win tickets? Sign up for a chance to win today at 1045thezone.com/contest. And, we've been going over what these scouts and execs have been saying about all these pass rushers and stuff. And I wanted to get back. I'm trying not to be too hard on Ruben Bain. And listen, there's some David Bailey hate in here. Hate's maybe a strong word. Some cons and negatives to David Bailey in here as well. But the way that they described Akeem Mesidor versus Ruben Bain, I thought was very interesting because it's a lot of the stuff that we said. And so we're going to get to that coming up because at first, and I forgot we had Tristan from Brentwood on. Tristan, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Thank you for taking my call. I say trade down if you're the Titans. Running backs nowadays, you could get a running back in the second or third round, and David Bailey is like Dodd, who we drafted from Clemson, which when did he show up? He showed up this year for Texas Tech. Bain is 6'2", 272 pounds, and I would go get Max from Arizona State, then cut Dan Moore next year because Dan Moore hasn't proven his worth. He gave up 12 sacks last year, and Max is a better player. And then get Pat Cogan, finish offensive line because our center, who we signed from the Giants, is not that great. He's more of a backup. Pat Cogan played at Notre Dame and Indiana, and he knew all the blitz package, picked up every player. And once you trade down, we could get a second round and a first round for next year, and then use a second round for Jamie Rodriguez, the linebacker from Texas Tech, who had 6 interceptions or 7, and if they had given him more of a offensive play stuff, he could have been the Heisman Trophy winner because he was 5th in the Heisman Trophy candidates, but nobody chose him. And also get a guard also, and then get Mike, the running back from Arkansas, or the number 24 from Notre Dame, the running back who
Bryce.
is Jeremiah Love's competition. Yes.
All right. Oh.
All right. That was a lot to unpack there from Tristan. I mean, he laid out the whole offseason.
I know. I
plan.
saw you writing it all down.
Yeah.
Zach's going to forward it to Mike.
I'm emailing it to Mike Bergonzi right now. I mean, I know why he said Maxianature, because he's Tristan's a big Arizona State fan, so there's a little bit of Sun Devil bias
Yeah, I was
there.
wondering.
But I mean, Maxianature, a lot of upside, and he would have to spend time developing. But I don't know how high you draft a guy that has to spend time developing and getting ready, because I don't think he's a day one starter. And I don't know. I don't really like the idea of starting a guy at guard and then pushing him over to left tackle. Like if in this instance, you'd put him at right guard, push him over to tackle. Maybe they would put J.C. Latham at right guard and put that guy at right tackle. But then you got two guys that aren't really J.C. Latham's hasn't played a lot of guard at all ever. And then Maxianature at the NFL level, I don't know about that. That's a tough ask.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's a little tough ask.
No, that's a little too much.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of reach. Nope. But if they did take an offensive tackle in the third round, I wouldn't be opposed to that, especially with their offensive coach now, offensive O-line coach, in developing players in the middle rounds.
Yeah.
Had success throughout his career as a coach. So maybe you can get a player that can play up to where Moore is playing, and then you're not spending, so much money. So yeah, that'll be interesting because they all know they can get out of the contract. Best after this upcoming season.
Oh yeah. And also, let's go easy on saying that David Bailey and Kevin Dodd are the same.
No.
Yeah, that's not even close.
Wait a minute, did what's the name give up 12 sacks? That's one thing I did not know that. He said Dan Moore gave up 12 sacks.
I don't think that's
that
right.
true?
Is that what he...
we got a new guy. Ross is in the house with the backwards hat.
Yeah, we finally got our guy back. Ross, would you like to say hello to the people?
Hey, guys.
Hello. Hey, safe travels, guys. There.
Yeah, have fun at Washington, D.C. So,
D.C., yeah, man. Hey, make sure you post some pictures, man, so we can see.
Let's see here. 8 sacks given up according to PFF on Dan Moore.
Okay, all right. I didn't recall 12. That was,
yeah.
Ooh, 12. I would have remembered that.
I guess he went out in my
earpiece.
Earpiece because you looked really weird, and I was like, "What did he say?" I must have missed it.
What? Oh, dang.
So that's what it was.
I was looking over to you because I wanted you to confirm that because I knew you know stats.
Yeah, I didn't think it was 12.
12? I was like, ooh, that seems more than I thought.
Yeah.
So 8. 8. Hey, man, that guy's taking it personal. 8. He's listening right now, Moore Jr. He's like, I did not. I mean,
12 is almost like 1 per game. There's a big difference between 12 and 8.
He's like, nah, man.
Yeah,
he picked it up after the first 4 games.
Right. Okay. So that takes care of what Tristan said. So let's hear what was said about Akeem Mesidor here. He's more flexible than Bain, which I thought was interesting. I thought he had better bend at times than Bain and was more athletic. I was looking at him through the lens of a 3-4 outside linebacker, but he's 25 years old. What do you do? Some of these guys are 25 and going against 19-year-olds. It's not necessarily a fair fight. A second scout said, let's stop there. How do you view age when you're looking at prospects? Because
I know you different than me, but I
think it depends. Care. I mean, I don't think there's a catch-all for it. But I do think he does kind of bring up a good point of 25-year-olds going against 19-year-olds. Do you buy into that?
Well, first of all, show me proof that he played against 19-year-olds.
That's true.
Easy to say because we all know they get there at that age.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many freshmen are starting
right.
on most teams. So I would assume that most of them are 20 or above. Or 21 now at this point in time because there are 25-year-old guys on the team. But I'm not going to say that works against him. What I would say is we're probably going to draft a guy like that if I like what I see on tape, especially in a major conference, which he was. That he's probably only going to be there for our first contract. Now, pass rusher for me is a little bit different in that those guys' careers end up being a little bit longer. So quarterback as well as pass rusher, I would have some, leeway there with the age. Now, running back, no. We're not, no. Just can't do,
right.
Yeah. So that's why I don't put them all in the same box, So I know a lot of them do that with the scouting, and we all know they do it in the NBA with the upside there.
It's mentioned a lot throughout this whole thing. I mean,
so
he's been in the NCAA since 2020. I mean, obviously has some, red shirt, COVID.
Right. But there's a lot of players like that now.
Right.
Like, did they hold that against the quarterback from New Orleans last year from Louisville? And then multiple schools he went to.
And he looked pretty good.
He went second round.
And they're doing the same thing for this Malachi Lawrence kid who, as a UCF, he's on the older side and nobody really talks about it. But for Hakeem Mesidor, it's brought up. I just thought it was interesting that is kind of like.
It's the nature of the business now. So you gotta take it into account. But I think position determines, that age if it really matters. To be honest, I think most positions, it's not going to bother me as much.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, we're going to see more and more 25-year-old guys coming out of college.
I think you are, especially because of the NIL, and most people want to stay and get paid.
They can make more money and then say, I'm going to go in the third round and I'm only going to make this
and
when I can make double that and staying in college.
And this may not be necessarily a bad thing because maybe you're getting a more polished product than some of these other guys. You kind of know, maybe it mitigates the risk a little bit more, to be honest with you, because, with Keldrick Falk, right? I'm going to bring him up because he's just turning 21. And so everybody's like, he's got so much he can go and so much he can do and so much he can be. But that's all well and good. But how many times have we seen a 21-year-old not be that, right? Like, that's all projection. With Mesidor, I feel like he's a very clean evaluation, and maybe that's because of his age.
And guess what? If this is the limits of where he can go, I think, maybe a little bit more, I think I'm okay with that. I know what I'm getting.
Right. He's got a higher floor than most of these prospects.
Right. And that's what you got to know.
Ceiling, but I mean, but his floor's so high, his ceiling is still technically high.
Amen.
What did Robert Saleh say? We got the audio here. Robert Saleh was asked about age and prospects.
Oh, did he?
And at the owners' meeting, we got the clip right here. Here's what Robert Saleh had to say.
No, that's a great question. It depends on whether or not we feel like he maxed himself up. Are we watching someone who can get better, or are we watching somebody who is at his age hit the ceiling of what he's capable of? So I think when you're looking at those older guys, every player is independent of what he's capable of in the future.
And I think he's right. Every player is just kind of independent. But also, if he's near his ceiling, how high is his ceiling compared to everybody else? That would be the question.
But how do you know he's near his ceiling?
See, that's the thing. That's like also saying, I kind of hate the floor-ceiling conversation, to be honest with you. It's not my favorite one to have because everybody's like, well, this guy's ceiling's astronomical. Well, you can say that, but how do you know that?
That means, to me, you're saying he's underdeveloped.
Yeah.
And maybe because he didn't play a lot or we haven't seen him a lot. I mean, I just don't understand. Like, I know they're talking about his athletic prowess and how far he could go. Well, do you know how many athletes I went against that were way better athletes than me and was never better football player than me?
Right.
And they never reached that problem. And that's the risk you're taking with those first-round guys because the projection of where they will be, they get that wrong too.
It's almost like everybody gets combine drunk.
Right. It's no doubt because it's more than just athleticism that makes you a great player or a really good player or an average player. We all know that. I mean, we've seen Notre Dame players to Alabama players, and then they get in the NFL, and you go, man, well, the Ball State player is better than him. Or the MTSU, Kevin Byard is a better player than him. How does that happen?
Right.
Because guess what? They were just great athletes, and at some point, if you don't realize that you need to be a smarter athlete, out there on the field or whatever sport it is, you're just going to be stagnant and you're going to stay the same.
Exactly.
Right. Meanwhile, everybody else is rising around you, and they didn't have a higher ceiling.
Right. Because how many people would have said that Kevin Byard would have turned into what he was been?
Well, I did.
Yeah. Well, okay, one.
Yeah.
and his family.
Watch this. I'm about to tell you why I did that. You know why I did this specifically? I'm glad you're sitting right there, Mesidor. No, because he had 3 picks versus Alabama.
Yeah. Oh man,
that was it. Yeah. That's all I needed to see.
All you
That's all. Cut the book, film. Let's go. Cut it off. He's done. And then if you have a conversation with you, you know he knows ball.
Yeah.
Oh, it is clear as day. So, those 3 picks weren't an accident against Alabama.
Well, I mean, he was a ball hawk. I mean, right? I mean, like, ain't no doubt about it.
He's confirmed that in the league based on all his picks.
Yeah. So this is what they went on to say, because we talked about the age with Mesidor, and this guy says, I like him. Second scout said, I like him more than Bain. I think he's a better pass rusher. He's a pure pass rushing 4-3 defensive end. Now, he kind of picks his spots to play the run, but he's not terrible at it. I could see him in a 3-4. He's not going to make a living dropping in coverage, but I don't think he'd be out of place doing it. He finished his career with 208 tackles, 52.5 of those for a loss, 35.5 sacks. That's third more in Division I since 2005. 5 forced fumbles and 4 batted passes. I actually think he's better than Bain, says the third scout. He's instinctive. He's nasty. At the point of the attack, tight end's got no chance. As a pass rusher, he's got all sorts of stuff in the bag. He's got power, spin, and uses his hands. They drop him, and he moves like a linebacker. He's a talented guy, starter, playmaker, but he's old, 25. Arms were 32 1/8 inch. Hands were 10 inches. He had Reuben Bain on the other side, so he wasn't getting a lot of attention, said a fourth scout. I don't think he got the attention he actually deserved. Not that Akeem is going to be a Hall of Famer, but he is much better than, quote, the guy opposite Bain. I mean, I'm hearing that, and I'm like, well, this guy's definitely going in the first round. And I'm hearing, okay, now you piqued my interest just a little bit that maybe trading back, man, if you traded back and got Akeem Mesidor and someone else, you may be cooking with more gas than just picking at 4.
Now.
See, now you got my interest here.
Yeah, so he was born, I guess, in Canada.
Yep. One of 8 siblings from Ottawa, Ontario.
Okay, and then he, I guess, grew up. He went to high school in Clearwater, Florida.
Yep.
By the way, and he started off at West Virginia for 2 years, and then he transferred to Miami. So just giving you a little bit of history there and background, all ACC. But, I like him. There are times when you watch them that you feel like Mesidor is a better player. For sure, he's more twitchy as far as pass rush. I'd be interested to see him drop. Did we see him drop or do any drills anywhere at any point in time, whether it's pro day or at the combine? He probably didn't do anything at the combine. But, I think he could get away with being in a 3-4 because he's like 260. That's what it says. He doesn't look that big to me. I thought, I didn't know he was 260. Man, wow.
I don't think he did any athletic testing.
So he moves really well.
I'll double check that, but I don't think he did.
Yeah, man. I
did not test.
But I still believe he can beat Ross in the 40, though. Yeah.
What do you think, Ross?
I'm sure he can.
Right now, he definitely can beat me for sure. The way he was getting after that quarterback, man, I was like, dang, man, they have 2.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
The way the athletes have changed, I might be competing with the O-lineman right now in the 40.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like, everybody's athletic nowadays, right? I mean, like, this is an insane athletic
man.
group, and I think it's only going to continue to get that way.
Yeah.
And so at some point, everybody's just as athletic as the others, so that's why you got to go back to the tape. I mean, you just kind of feel like you got to.
Yeah, I do like if they could get, I don't know how far back you could get Mazador, and get, get that and a receiver. Oh, man. Oh, my. And a pick. Ooh.
I'm telling you.
Love the sounds.
Oh, man.
Tastes good.
Man, dang, boy, we going to be cooking.
Reuben Bain, third-year junior, started all 3 seasons. Good football player, one scout said. He's a power player. He runs through people, uses his hands pretty well, can collapse the pocket, has short arms. Not the rangiest body type, doesn't have a ton of speed. He's not your historical top 5, top 10 defensive lineman.
See, what these talking about historically?
Yeah.
He said short arms. What is his arm length?
Oh, Akeem Mesidor's was third, too, but Reuben Bain, 30.7.
Oh, 30. Oh,
Yeah.
but that guy, that was the quote of.
Yeah, that was for Reuben Bain. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
We were talking about Messenger.
I thought I'd said Reuben Bain. That's my fault. I did not say that we switched to Reuben Bain. Did I just start with third-year junior?
Yes.
Maybe,
My bad.
yeah.
My bad. That's on me.
Well, I am easily confused.
False start.
Yeah.
So the flag.
Yep, you got the flag.
Where's New York? New York calling.
Yeah, so, yeah. I can see, Bain.
Yeah.
I think it's later. That's easier.
Here's what they also said. He'll be a major outlier. I think he'll be the first defensive lineman or edge guy taken since 1999 or something with under 31-inch arms. He's super physical and aggressive, but Bain is a tweener. He's got no position. He's not tall or lanky enough to be a defensive end. He's not really athletic or fast enough to be an outside backer. And he's too small to be a defensive tackle. Does he have a motor? Yes. Does he have physical hands? Yes. Is he active with his hands? Yes. As a technician, he's going to wear a lot of bad college linemen out with his hands and effort. He did that. But wow, do I think he's going to get blocked in the NFL? I do. His quickness and power are just outstanding. He's violent in how he plays. He's always around the quarterback. He's going to be the exception to the rule because I don't think he's very fast. So if this guy thinks he's going to be the exception to the rule, but he doesn't think he's very fast. He's probably smart. He didn't run because I think he'd run around a 4.8, which I feel like is kind of fast for a 265-pound guy. I like edge rushers to have speed, but he's an anomaly for me. There are a lot of other parts to his game that he will compensate with, compared by one scout to Kwity Paye, which I thought was an interesting comp that we haven't heard yet.
Wow.
Those short arms and that size will be a concern, a fourth scout said. More of an overachiever type athlete than a natural, fluid, silky kind of dude, but you love the way he plays. He's tough as hell. Best thing about his pass rush is he's relentless, gives effort against the run, kills the tight ends. He gets smothered up a little bit by those big tackles. They'll get him. He's like a Brandon Graham, which I have heard that one. He's a really, really good college player. When I watch him against some of the better tackles, he struggled a little bit. His best shot's going to be a 4-3 defensive end. To me, if I'm going to make him top 15 player in this draft, I'm hoping to get somebody that's going to come in and give me 8 sacks and build up to like double digits in the next year or two. I don't know that that's what he is.
I like the comp of Brandon Graham. That's the kid from just retired or something from Michigan, right?
Long career.
Went to the Eagles, right?
Right.
I want to know, what is his measurables? Because that was a question for me coming out about him. And then he was just a pass rusher, defensive end, and he did 6'2", 270.
And he had 32.675-inch arms.
Graham.
Yeah, Graham did.
So that's just still a couple inches more than Bain.
And he ran a 4.72. He had a 7.01 3-cone, Brandon Graham did. So, I mean, really good 3-cone time. That was his best athletic testing measurable was that.
Does his technique stand out on the tape more to y'all, or does just the relentlessness of his play stand out more?
I would say his powerful hands and his relentlessness.
Yeah.
I mean, because he plays with violence, not technique. Yeah.
It's his power, and that's why I said he won't be able to overpower people. That guy in the league like that. There will be matchups where he can do that, but that will be far in between. He won't be able to do that.
He's got to become elite with his hands. Just hand combat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and listen,
he's definitely strong with his hands.
Yeah.
I just don't know how often that's going to work.
It's going to work.
Yes, and with more time now, when you get in the pros, you get to work on your craft a lot more and doing all these different hand things that all these offensive, defensive linemen do. So you'll be interested to see with his kind of power, speed to power, will be able to really come up with some really good stuff.
Let's wrap up this conversation with Bailey and talk about Dajani Dennis Sutton as well, because there's something that's said about these two guys and about how they handle practice and in the game. And I want to get your take on them because I don't really understand what these guys are saying, and I want to make sure I'm getting it right. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
I don't know.
Cover 2 Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. We've been reading some stuff that's been said about these players, and one of the things that kind of gets put into these kinds of articles is some negatives that has me questioning, like, how does someone know this? Mm-hmm. And here's what they said. Scout. Now, there's a lot of good about these players. These are just some of the bad or the negatives, I guess you could say. And so I wanted to get your opinion. This is what they said about David Bailey when he was at Stanford. They said, quote, he kind of did his own thing at Stanford. He dropped when he was supposed to rush and vice versa. They tried to hold him accountable, but he was just kind of all over the map. Then there's another guy that was said something similar to this, denied Dennis Sutton, the edge rusher out of Penn State. They said he could be hard to coach, kind of my way is the way. I mean, obviously that's coming from someone inside the building, you would assume, but like, what do you think about?
Well, Sutton was there the whole time, right?
Yeah, he was at Penn State the whole time. Yeah. I don't think he ever went anywhere else.
I can see how that could come up with Bailey because, some Stanford coaches would be like, well, this is how he was with us before he left, which could all be true, by the way. Watch this. Lawrence Taylor would rush when he was supposed to drop and drop when he was supposed to rush with Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
And then Bill Parcells said, guess what? Just tell him to rush. Because he kept making plays.
And David Bailey kind of feels a little bit like that kind of guy. You just want him rushing.
Right. I'm not comparing him to the Lawrence Taylor, obviously.
Right.
But I'm just saying there are some guys, whether you could talk about safety and Troy Polamalu or Junior Seau, who I played with in Pro Bowls, he would do things that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you're just saying, what are you doing? I mean, you're supposed to be dropping in the middle and you're blitzing up the middle. I mean, and it makes a play. So you just got to understand that you're dealing with some players that have instinct. Are they at that level yet to be able to do that? But for coaches to say that sometimes it's coming from a good place and sometimes it's not. We got to remember some of these coaches are very egotistical and they're just mad that he didn't do what I said.
Right.
And then, what I want him to do, and maybe it cost him a game, maybe because that player did what he did on his own. But it also worked in your favor at times too.
Yeah.
So let's not forget that. So it's hard to say. I would definitely be having questions with them about just kind of how they go about if they call a play and then you decide to do, go on your own will and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I want to know that because I would say, well, what would make you do that?
Right.
Was it from your film study? Maybe you had a little insight. Was it because you wanted to do something for you personally that benefited you? So there's no I in team.
Right.
So I want to know what's going on here. And this is something you would do on a regular occurrence.
Right.
So game in and game out. Like this is what you do. Because then now we're talking about consistency. Now if a guy did this every so often, every 6 games or something, I'm not too concerned about that. But I would definitely address it. I do want disciplined players.
Right.
To do your job, but there are sometimes you do make exceptions to the rule.
And in this pass rush class, outside of Arvell Reese, David Bailey is pretty much considered the best pass rusher in this class. And I mean, I don't know everybody's board, but they talked about it. They kind of said he's got a little Micah Parsons to his game, but maybe he has a little bit more power than Micah Parsons.
Oh wow.
Aiden Hutchinson is only bigger and longer than David Bailey. Like this one guy said, hey, this guy's kind of like Aiden Hutchinson as a prospect. Now, you got to be Aiden Hutchinson as a pro, but they're talking about this guy's speed.
6'6" versus 6'3"?
Yeah, that's what they're... Maybe this is meant to read, Aiden Hutchinson is just bigger and longer. Okay. That's what it's saying. Aiden Hutchinson is just bigger and longer. So, David Bailey's smaller, but has the same elements to his game.
Yeah. I would say this, though. Some coaches are going to have issues with anything coming out like that. They just will. Me, I'm a little more flexible in that, I like to get my hands on great talent if I was a coach. And I want to be like, that's my job to coach him out of that because then he needs to be believing in what we're doing.
You talk about that, but this is what someone says about coaching him. He's a skilled rusher. He might be a top 5 pick. He can win with power speed. I'm not saying he loafs, but against the run, his mindset is pass rush first and then react to the run.
Mm-hmm.
In obvious pass rush downs, that's great, but if it's a run, he's not necessarily always in his gap. He'll dip inside and give up the edge because he's looking to rush the passer. Those are things that are correctable.
Mm-hmm. Watch this. I'm about to get you. Defensive player there, Myles Garrett, did it against the Titans.
Right.
That's exactly what he did against the Titans. So, yeah, he was going after the record, by the way.
You're right.
He was trying to get the sack. But so that happens more often than some people think. He's still going to get, eventually, not only from the coaches, but your teammates are going to put pressure on you to do the right thing.
Right.
At the end of the day, especially if you start seeing that on a regular occurrence in the film. We're all watching the film, and everybody's watching their own position. But guess what? Also, some coaches, whether it's your position group or not, put that red dot on you and be like, hey, man, what is he doing right here?
Yeah.
This guy's not, somebody need to say something. That's what they really saying.
Yeah.
The leadership of the team needs to be having a conversation. Yeah. And if you see that enough, dudes, you start getting pissed off.
Yeah. But, like you said, this guy says it's correctable, and maybe it is.
I don't think it's an issue with him, but maybe with some guys it is, just because of how they're presenting it. It's like this is on occasion. Remember, we talked about it. He's not. Sometimes you could see in the run game, at least I said anyway, that he's not. Watch this. There was sometimes Javon Curse was like that.
Right.
I was out there with him.
Did you get in his crawl inning?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I say, hey, man, keep rushing that passer.
Yeah. Get after the quarterback, right?
Yeah, keep going, man.
There's 10 other people that could tackle the running back.
Yeah, but we got that running back. We got that guy. See, so you got to know who you're talking to. You're talking about a guy who's super athletic, who was his first time playing the actual position in the National Football League. So you got to give him some grace there, too. But he was on a record pace. You're not going to kind of screw a guy up, get him out there thinking now about all these other. No, just keep rushing.
Yeah.
So there's the time and the place for that.
We got you.
Yeah. Then next year, though, make sure you get to that.
Yeah. We'll teach you how to get after the running back next year. We'll teach you how to be a run defender next year.
Man, you keep getting them sacks, man. That was making it easy for me, man. I want to drop right in the bucket.
It was interesting. They did say that if this was any other draft class, they're not sure David Bailey would be near the top of the pass rushing list. So that is something to watch.
Man, he's still trying to trying to politic for Love.
They wouldn't say that about Jeremiah Love, though. All right.
He said, she said.
Yeah. All right. That will do it for us.
Man.
3HL's up next. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime,
and in between time, peace, love, and happiness.